This famous actress was called America's sweetheart because of her friendly and direct and so unpretentious character. She was chosen 3 times as one of the 50 most beautiful people in the world by People magazine. She also received the title of Woman of the Year, an Oscar, and a star on the Walk of Fame. Sandra Bullock became one of the most beloved actresses of the 90s and 2000s. The audience's favorite girl next door is always sweet and friendly, direct, and funny. But few people knew how much pain and disappointment was hidden behind her wide smile. Today, we will open the curtain on the star's real, non-screen life. Why didn't she choose a singing career, even though she grew up in a musical family? On the set of which film did she almost die while performing a dangerous stunt? What event made the actress break up her 5-year marriage? And what difficulties did the star face during her children's adoption? We'll talk about all this and more. Sandra Annette Bullock was born on July 26, 1964 in the suburbs of Washington, Arlington County, Virginia. The mother of the future star, Helga Matilda Niemier, was an opera singer from Germany, and her father, John Wilson Bullock, an Army employee and part-time vocal coach from Birmingham, Alabama. Bullock's maternal grandfather was a German rocket scientist from Nuremberg. In his youth, her father worked as a blacksmith in order to get into the famous Juilliard School of the Arts, where he wanted to fulfill his dream of becoming an opera singer. Instead, he trained as an opera vocal coach, thereby partially fulfilling a cherished dream. Sandra Bullock's parents met in Germany when John worked at the Pentagon after serving in the Army, and Helga was his secretary. Later, they seriously engaged in a musical career. Mother began to sing in the opera, and father became a vocal coach. The couple had 2 daughters, Sandra and Jazina, who is 6 years younger. There was always singing in their house. Sandra often felt awkward because of her parents singing, as it could be heard even outside, and the girl wondered why mom and dad were constantly singing and, quote, can't be normal people. However, she really liked how friendly the atmosphere was in the family, where everyone joked and was open.
Father has an incredible sense of humor, so as a child, everything was about great storytelling and great jokes. Everything was funny in our household. I mean, anytime at the dinner table you could, fling something across the table or embarrass somebody or bring up a topic that's unacceptable for the dinner table. It was done. So, I mean, that's the atmosphere I grew up. I know it's a surprise to you. You'd think I had a lot of etiquette in my upbringing.
Helga wanted her daughters to follow in her footsteps. The girls took vocal and ballet lessons, learned to play the piano, sang in the children's opera choir, but did not show a particular love for music. They sometimes accompanied their mother on tour, and Sandra was even entrusted with small roles in her mother's opera productions, which brought her pleasure. Although Helga was always busy with her career, she also found time for education and taught her daughters a lot. She always told children that they should be original and not adjust to anyone. Sandra had a hard time accepting that simple truth because she believed that she had to please everyone to be accepted. Helga taught her daughters self-reliance and independence. My mother instilled that in me and my sister. Make your own way. You don't need a man to get where you want to go. Make your own money. Get your own career together. And then if you happen to meet a great guy, you'll meet him on a good level. For 12 years, Bullock was raised in Nuremberg, Germany, where she received a Waldorf education, and for several more years the family lived in Vienna and Salzburg in Austria. Therefore, the girl grew up speaking German. A career as a pianist or an opera singer did not appeal to Sandra, although she had good vocal skills, so the girl did everything in her power not to enter a musical school. She was more interested in theater and acting. The girl's childhood was spent traveling because her family often flew from America to Europe and back due to her mother's tours. They finally moved to America when Sandra turned 12. At Washington Lee High School, where the girl began her education, other children saw Bullock as a foreigner and bullied her for wearing old-fashioned clothes bought in Germany. Sandra decided to conquer the hearts of American teenagers in the simplest, but no less effective way. The girl took a film camera from her father and persuaded her peers to take part in an amateur film. The decisive argument was that she skillfully parodied famous Hollywood actors. So the schoolgirl managed to sway most of her classmates to her side, as well as become popular at school, because she was a cheerleader, performed in school theater productions, and also dated a high school athlete. By the way, Sandra loved her cheerleader uniform so much that she still keeps it among her treasured memorabilia. Sandra, who received the title most likely to brighten up your day, was destined to become the class's favorite. She changed her image and now went to school in torn jeans and also disturbed the teachers with her pranks. Once, she got so drunk that she fell asleep in the school gym where the principal found her. However, popularity at school did not save the girl from her first love disappointment. Sandra's boyfriend, who half the girls at school were crazy about, was handsome and persistent, but not very smart. He did not want to be satisfied with hugs and kisses and demanded proof of love from Bullock. Sandra decided to break up with him and pursue her dream, to become an actress. After graduating in 1982, Bullock attended East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in drama in 1987. While studying at ECU, she was one of the most notable students in the theater department and acted in several productions such as Peter Pan and Three Sisters. After graduating from university, Sandra decided to try her hand in New York. Her parents supported their daughter's decision because they understood how difficult it was for novice artists to break through. They advised her to give her all and go for her goal. Sandra's only goal was to become an actress. As backup options, the girl considered the possibility of working as a photo model or flight attendant. However, for the world of fashion, Sandra was too short and not slender enough, and flying required special education. After chatting with her unfortunate colleagues, young people who came to the big city with high hopes, Bullock got a job as a waitress in a bar on 47th Street and enrolled in acting classes at the neighborhood Playhouse Theater School. There, she became a student of the well-known teacher Sanford Meisner, who at one time trained Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton, and Joan Woodward. The money needed to pay for education was not easy for Sandra. The bar in which she worked turned out to be far from a pleasant place with a very dubious audience. Later, the actress recalled that she was almost raped there several times. Acting classes, where Sandra spent all evenings, became her favorite place. The teachers did not know what financial difficulties she was facing, but they were convinced that with her talent and perseverance, Sandra would definitely succeed. Compliments from adults and sincere admiration in the eyes of fellow students gave her self-confidence. After 3 years of study, in the summer of 1985, Bullock began going to auditions. Seeing a girl in worn jeans, a wide sweater, and with an unremarkable appearance, the directors were extremely surprised, since most of the young applicants for the role bet on mini skirts, silicone, and bright lipstick. Bullock, with her natural beauty and innate directness, caused them nothing but pity. It was too ordinary and simple for the widescreen. However, she still managed to get several roles. Sandra appeared in several student films and later had a role in the off-Broadway play No Time Flat. Director Alan J. Levi was impressed with Bullock's performance and offered her a role in the made-for-TV movie Bionic Showdown, The $6 Million Man, and The Bionic Woman. This led to her landing a series of small roles in several independent films, as well as the lead role in the 1990 NBC television version of Working Girl. However, only 6 episodes were released, after which all the actors, including Sandra, were shown the door. Extremely disappointed with the Big Apple, Bullock decided to catch her luck in California, the capital of world cinema, and, as it turned out later, it was a great decision. In California, Sandra began to go to auditions again and actively play in mass productions, where it was not necessary to look spectacular and bright. Bullock's patience was soon rewarded. In 1991, she got a role in the romantic comedy Love Elixir No. 9. The casting director, seeing Bullock in a crowd of applicants dressed in denim overalls and with her hair tied in a messy ponytail, thought, "The same girl next door as Julia Roberts, only she will cost us much less." That's how Sandra got her first prominent role and won the heart of her coworker, Tate Donovan, whom she soon started dating.
So this is a date?
It's definitely a date.
Okay.
Bullock's career developed much faster than the relationship with Donovan. Sylvester Stallone, who saw the American Cinderella in Love Elixir No. 9, helped the young actress get the role of Lieutenant Lenina Huxley in the film Demolition Man. The movie received mixed reviews, and Sandra was even nominated for the Golden Raspberry Award in the category of Worst Supporting Actress. But this did not prevent her from becoming recognizable, and surprisingly, it became easier to get roles. Sandra's singing talent came in handy in 1993 for the role of a young country singer in the drama The Thing Called Love. For this movie, Bullock wrote her own song, Heaven Knocking on My Door, and performed it in the film.
I didn't know what to say at first. I couldn't get by those wings. Now here I am in the middle of...
Bullock's breakthrough came in 1994, after the release of the blockbuster Speed. Professional Sense told the director Jean Desbont that behind the cute appearance of a young woman hid a heroine capable of turning his film into a real action movie. Hollywood handsome Keanu Reeves was her partner on the set. The filmmakers had to make sure she and Reeves had the right chemistry. Sandra recalled that they had to do all these really physical scenes together, rolling around on the floor and stuff. The chemistry between the colleagues on the set was really undeniable. Many years later, on Ellen, both actors admitted that they were in love with each other during filming.
I think about how sweet Keanu Reeves was and how handsome he was. It was hard. It was hard for me to like really be serious. Like he would look at me and I'd be like, Did you know that she had a crush on me? No?
Yeah.
Did you
She obviously didn't know I had a crush on her either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe you both had crushes on each other and you were so scared.
We were working.
However, a high-profile romance did not happen because neither of them ever confessed their real feelings. By the way, you can watch more about Keanu Reeves and his notable roles in a separate video dedicated to the biography of that star on our channel. We will leave a link for you in the description. Speed became a truly spectacular film. Explosions, races, high-quality special effects, and stunts, most of which were performed by the actors themselves. Sandra turned out to be a wonderful actress. As a novice, she was not afraid to perform dangerous stunts, gratefully listened to the advice of her colleagues, and gave her 100%. "Rookies are always lucky," Bullock said later. "My body was playing tricks before I could think about it." Once, during the filming of another scene, Sandra almost fell off the bus. She was saved only by the fact that Reeves grabbed her leg in time. The film crew was so engrossed in the process that they spent the budget completing only 75% of the work. The studio allocated additional funds only after successful test screenings of the existing material, but $30 million paid off many times over at the box office. The picture received critical acclaim and collected $350 million. The consensus on Rotten Tomatoes called it a terrific popcorn thriller with outstanding performances from Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and Sandra Bullock. Speed also won 2 Oscars for Best Sound and Best Editing, and Bullock received the Saturn Award as well as awards in the nominations Best Female Performance and Most Desirable Female at the 1995 MTV Movie Awards. Inspired by her success and film career, Bullock decided to create her own production company, Fortis Films, with her sister. Her father, John Bullock, became its CEO, and her sister, Dezina, became its vice president. The company's headquarters are still located in Austin, Texas, and West Hollywood, California. Fortis Films has been involved in the production of several very successful projects starring Sandra, the first of which were While You Were Sleeping and The Net. In John Turteltaub's romantic comedy While You Were Sleeping, Sandra played the role of a lonely Chicago subway cashier who saved the stranger's life and got caught up in family dramas and new acquaintances. Interestingly, this role was written for Demi Moore, and later it was to be played by Julia Roberts, who refused to participate in the project. Sandra was approved after her appearance in the rom-com Love Elixir No. 9, where the creators saw the image they needed in the young actress. Filming took place at various locations, both real and specially constructed. So, for example, for the hospital scenes, which unfolded in a real hospital in Chicago, they created special scenery for the convenience of filming. But the episodes in the Callaghan family home were filmed in a real turn-of-the-century house in the suburbs of LaGrange, Illinois. The Chicago Department of Transportation also made concessions to the film's creators and made an exception, closing the subway for filming during daytime hours. It is also interesting that the initial plot was diametrically opposed. There was supposed to be a woman in a coma who was accidentally hit by a truck, and a man was supposed to be the main character of a comedy. However, the producers were advised to change the concept because a man following a woman seemed too predatory. And they did not miss. The film was positively received by critics who believed that it was assembled with such skill and with such a charming performance from Sandra Bullock that it gives the formula a good name.
Well, I thought I should introduce myself. My name's Lucy. Lucy Eleanor Moderatz. Think you should know your family thinks we're engaged. Never been engaged before.
While You Were Sleeping was a giant hit at the box office, grossing over $180 million worldwide, the vast majority of which was a net profit, since the film was made on a surprisingly paltry $17 million. For her portrayal of the charming and funny Lucy, Sandra received her first Golden Globe Award nomination. In the next project, which was very different from the previous one, thriller The Net of the same 1995, Bullock starred in the role of a computer programmer who stumbled upon a conspiracy that put her life and the lives of those around her in danger. Interestingly, although this movie is called The Net, it actually tells very little about the early internet. Basically, it's a film about hacking and computer virus protection. Owen Gleiberman from Entertainment Weekly praised the actress's performance in the film, saying, "Bullock pulls you into the movie. Her overripe smile and clear, imploring eyes are sometimes evocative of Julia Roberts." The Net became quite successful and grossed $110.6 million at the box office.
Spends all day dashing into fray while making world safe for democracy. Tonight, playing Bach cantatas.
The girl next door, who became a star of the first echelon, could no longer walk the streets calmly in the arms of Donovan. The lovers had to register at the hotel under different names, and Tate posed as Bullock's bodyguard. However, the relationship between the lovers was going nowhere, and although the couple was already engaged, in 1995 the actors broke up without giving an official reason. In one of the interviews, Sandra only noted, "I can't explain why things worked out the way they did. We both know why it happened." After their breakup, Bullock was distracted by work, this time starring in the 1996 romantic drama In Love and War, directed by Richard Attenborough. The film was an adaptation of the book Hemingway, In Love and War, by Henry S. Villard and James Nigel, and was largely based on real events. Hemingway was played here by Chris O'Donnell. Sandra, who portrayed his beloved Agnes von Kurowski, was rumored to have an affair with her co-worker after the movie release. Despite the stellar cast, the film grossed only $25 million at the box office and received mostly negative reviews from critics. But the next project with Bullock's participation became much more successful. The legal drama A Time to Kill, like the previous film, had a literary primary source, John Grisham's 1989 novel of the same name. Sandra here played a member of the defense team in the murder trial of two men who sexually assaulted a young woman. Her colleagues on the set were Samuel L. Jackson, Matthew McConaughey, and Kevin Spacey. For her role, the actress received a Best Actress nomination in MTV Movie Awards. At the same time, Sandra started dating McConaughey. Interestingly, Matthew was rumored to be dating a second co-star from the same film, Ashley Judd, who played his on-screen wife. Sandra and Matt were considered a good couple, moderately romantic and flirtatious, but they had different views on relationships. Matthew was more passive and did not see himself married yet. Bullock wanted a family and children. When the pregnancy test showed 2 stripes, Bullock broke the news to McConaughey. The more than calm reaction of his beloved to the fact that he might soon become a father noticeably cooled the woman's ardor. When it turned out that the test was false positive, Sandra made a willful decision to break off a 2-year relationship with a man who did not want to marry her. The following year, she received $11 million for the movie Speed 2: Cruise Control. The actress hoped that Keanu Reeves would star with her, but when she found out that he would not appear in the sequel, she almost refused to participate. However, Bullock later agreed to star in the film, only to financially support her next project, Hope Floats. Later, she regretted being a part of the sequel, and did not like to mention this picture in her interviews. The box office of Speed 2 was much more modest and barely justified the budget of $160 million. The film received 8 nominations for the Golden Raspberry and surpassed all competitors in the title of Worst Sequel. Next, Bullock starred in the film Hope Floats in 1998. The life of her character, an unpretentious housewife, is disrupted when her husband, played by Michael Pear, confesses his infidelity on a talk show. Critic James Berardinelli noted that her undisputed strength lies in a blend of light drama and comedy. Sandra admitted her doubts about the movie and choosing Harry Connick Jr. as a partner on the set.
I was a big pain in the ass in the whole process. And if you ask Linda Opes, my partner, she will tell you the same thing. I quit once. I kept preventing us from making it because it wasn't ready yet. Then, and when they said Harry Connick, I was like, what? No way. I mean, because I typecast him as who, I hadn't seen a great body of his work. And who this character was that he played in the film was not who I knew him as a human being. And finally, Forrest said, you know what? Why don't you just see this guy? Because he's great. And I was like, fine, whatever. And I read with him, and he blew me away. And I was wrong. And people are going to constantly remind me of how wrong I am, but I'm glad I was wrong because I just did it because I was scared. I wanted to make the exact right decision, so I was going, who's the obvious choice for this? And nobody could have done it like him, and I wouldn't have had the chemistry with anyone else. I wouldn't have been moved by anyone else. We wouldn't have come up with the extra lines that we had by anybody else. And he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. And good. Just a great human being. So if we had not cast him, it would have been the biggest mistake.
But despite all the doubts and the simple plot, the film was liked by the audience and critics, and it was a commercial success, grossing $81.4 million worldwide. But the next film, which was released in the same year, failed at the box office, although it was at the top of the chart in the first weekend in North America. We're talking about the comedy Practical Magic. Bullock and Nicole Kidman play two witch sisters who face a curse that threatens to prevent them from finding true love. Despite the unsuccessful box office, Sandra was not upset. Instead, she donated the dress she wore to the premiere of Practical Magic to be auctioned off on eBay to benefit the Avon Breast Cancer Crusade, which helps women with breast cancer. In the same year, Bullock managed to voice the character in the DreamWorks animation film The Prince of Egypt, and also wrote, produced, and directed the short film Making Sandwiches. The actress told Reader's Digest that she only did it to learn how to direct, and concluded that while she enjoyed producing and acting, she didn't have the talent to lead a film as a director, musical or comedy.
No, to the walls, to the sweat drips down my balls. So all you bitches crawl. Oh, you see, for the, oh, you see, the bam, to the window, to the wall, to the sweat drips down my.
That same year, the drama The Blind Side took the second place after New Moon with $34.2 million, making it Bullock's second biggest opening weekend ever. In total, it grossed more than $309 million, making it Bullock's highest grossing film in the United States and the star's fourth highest grossing worldwide. The Blind Side also became the first picture in history to cross the $200 million mark with only one top female star. Bullock, played by Leigh Anne Toy, Michael O'Hare's adoptive mother, a role she initially turned down 3 times because of the discomfort of portraying a devout Christian. According to her own words, Bullock believed that she would not be able to objectively present the beliefs of such a person on the screen. But after meeting with the real Leigh Anne Toy, the actress not only agreed to participate in the project, but also cut her salary and agreed to receive a percentage of the profits in return. The women spent a lot of time together, and Sandra tried to copy Tui in everything from her hair and nail polish color to her accent and manners. It's interesting that Julia Roberts also refused the role of Leanne at one time and apparently regretted it several times because for the portrayal of the athlete's adoptive mother, Bullock was awarded the Oscar and Golden Globe Awards as well as the Screen Actors Guild Award and Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Actress. The Blind Side also won the Academy Award for Best Picture. At the ceremony, Sandra competed for the desired statuette with the unsurpassed Meryl Streep, and when Bullock won the nomination, she approached her opponent and kissed her on the lips, something in the style, "kill him with kindness." Later, Meryl thanked the winner in her own way.
To my office, I go, "Oh my God, Meryl Streep sent you flowers." I was like, "Meryl Streep sent me flowers," and up comes this nice bottom part with like 3 dead orchids on it, and a note that said, "Die, bitch, love you."
Awarding Bullock with an Oscar gave her another unique distinction. The day before, the actress received the anti-prize Golden Raspberry for the role of an eccentric author of crossword puzzles in the film All About Steve. Thus, she became the only actress in history to receive both awards in the same year. It is also interesting that the difference between the ceremonies was only 2 days. By the way, Bullock became one of the few stars in the 30-year history of the Golden Raspberry Award who personally accepted this reward. However, just 10 days after Bullock won the Oscar for Best Actress, she and the rest of the world learned about her husband's infidelity. And all because several women said they had an affair with James during his marriage to Sandra. The actress had to cancel the European promotional tour of the film The Blind Side, citing unforeseen personal reasons. On March 18, 2010, James responded to rumors of infidelity by publicly apologizing to his wife. He stated, "The vast majority of the allegations reported are untrue and unfounded. Beyond that, I will not dignify these private matters with any further public comment. There is only one person to blame for this whole situation, and that is me." James's publicist later announced that James was undergoing psychological rehab to, quote, "deal with personal issues and keep the relationship with his wife." However, apparently, he did not succeed, because a month later, Sandra filed for divorce, and by the end of June, she was a free woman again. At the same time, she announced that she planned to adopt a boy who was born in January 2010 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Bullock and James began the adoption process together 4 months before the public scandal. Bullock's son started living with them in January. Louis was only a few days old when he became a part of the new mother's life. When Louis came into my life, he was put into my arm at 10 days old, and I just knew this was my path, the actress said. Given the couple's separation and subsequent divorce, Bullock continued adoption as a single mother. It was a very difficult and exhausting process for the star. Foster care is a system that exists and people don't know about it because it's a difficult thing to talk about, she explained. It gets deep and it gets dark. When I first went into the process myself, you have to prove that you're a capable parent. You're in the judgment cage. And I got halfway through it and I said, I can't do this. However, Sandra overcame all the difficulties that stood in her way to true happiness, and now she could experience all the joys of motherhood. According to Entertainment Weekly, by 2010, Bullock courted for virtually every female starring role Hollywood has to offer. Ben Affleck, her partner in the romantic comedy Forces of Nature, stated, "Every movie you hear about and every script I see, they say, we're going after Sandra Bullock for the woman." However, after adopting Louis, the star decided to avoid the flood of offers in favor of, quote, quietly putting acting on hold to focus on her son. She also became more selective about the projects in which the actress still agreed to participate. As I've gotten older, I say no a lot more. I've become a better fighter for my work. I didn't have the guts to do that before. In 2011, she co-starred with Tom Hanks as a widow in the drama Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, an adaptation of the novel of the same name. Despite mixed reviews, the film was nominated for numerous awards, including the Academy Award for Best Picture, and Bullock was nominated for the Teen Choice Awards as Favorite Actress Drama. In 2013, the actress joined other Hollywood legends at the TCL Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, leaving her hand and footprints in the cement of the theater's forecourt and receiving her own star on the Walk of Fame, based on Rachel Boynton's 2005 documentary of the same name. Peter de Bruges of Variety recognized that Bullock's portrayal is, quote, easily one of the best female roles of the last 10 years, but the film had the worst wide release of her career. But the all-female spin-off of the Ocean's 11 franchise, directed by Gary Ross, called Ocean's 8, became much more successful for the star. Here, Bullock played Debbie Ocean, Danny Ocean's sister, who helps plan an elaborate heist at the annual Met Gala in New York. The star cast, which besides Sandra, included Cate Blanchett, Helena Bonham Carter, Anna Hathaway, and Rihanna, ensured the public's interest in the project. Josh Spiegel, from The Hollywood Magazine, called the film a welcome return to the big screen for Bullock, and noted, quote, she has reached a point in her career where she chooses her roles with care. Before Gravity, she'd only co-starred in a handful of films over the previous 5 years, including her Oscar-winning turn in The Blind Side. Ocean's 8 is Bullock's first true franchise film in decades, and it suggests that her decision to be more selective in which projects she picks can pay off in dividends. Ocean's 8 was the franchise's best debut, and eventually grossed $297 million worldwide. Bullock came to the film premiere with her new boyfriend, photographer Brian Randall. The couple met back in 2015 when Randall was hired to photograph her son Louis. Sandra didn't share the details of her relationship with the press, and she does not have social networks, so her personal life remains closed to the public. However, in several interviews, she told about her chosen one that he's super kind. For the kids, he's sort of number one, and I'm number two. But I get it because he's more fun and has better treats. He's the example I would want my children to have. I don't always agree with him, and he doesn't always agree with me, but he is an example even when I don't agree with him. And Bullock called Randall the love of her life. Her next work was the 2018 Netflix post-apocalyptic horror film Bird Box, based on the novel of the same name. In it, Sandra played a woman who must find a way to save her children despite the potential threat from an invisible enemy. It was Bullock's first horror film since 1993's The Vanishing. The actress does not like horror films and is very reluctant to act in them. This picture was not an exception, and at first, the actress refused to participate in the project. However, after discussing all the details with the studio, she not only agreed to the filming, but also persuaded her friend, actress Sarah Paulson, to take part in the film and play the sister of Sandra's character. Bullock had to spend most of the filming process blindfolded. As the star ditched the slits in her headband for security, she bumped into the cameras several times, banging her head against them. The birds in the frame were real, except for those cases when they started to fuss. Then they were replaced with digital ones. Bird Box inspired many people to a kind of challenge in which they tried to overcome the distance blindfolded both indoors and outdoors. When videos of people bumping into objects and hurting themselves started appearing on social media, Netflix issued a statement to discourage viewers from participating in the so-called Bird Box challenge. That didn't stop a Utah girl who blindly drove into the oncoming lane and crashed. Despite the ambiguous impact of the film on its viewers, it became a real hit on Netflix. In July 2020, representatives of the streaming platform revealed that 89 million subscribers to their service actually watched the film in its first 4 weeks of release, one of the highest numbers for a Netflix original film. Bullock also received acclaim for her performance, with Variety and The Wrap describing her as, quote, wonderfully self-reliant and fascinating and terrifying to watch, respectively. Since in the film she was forced to take a stranger's girl under her care and build a relationship with her, she was often asked in interviews how she coped with her adopted children in reality, to which Sandra replied, let's all just refer to these kids as our kids. Don't say my adopted child. No one calls their kid their, oh shit, I went to a bar and got knocked up, child. Let's just say our children.
And I know how much, and you're so sweet, and when you were yelling at them, I just thought that must have been so hard to yell at those kids. Actually, it was really easy. Why is that? Because you never let yourself get to that place unless you're really scared. If your child runs out into the street, you don't go, get back here, you go, what are you doing, get over here. But you don't get to that place because there's usually people watching, so you're like, get back here. So you've got to be those things that you aren't allowed to be when you're really, really scared. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. We saw a different side of Sandy.
The actress doesn't often talk about her personal life, but she's shown telling how her children treat her. When I'm gone, I'm missed. When I'm there, I'm annoying. And that's exactly the way it should be. The star also confessed her boundless love for her son and daughter. I love who they are. Every day I get to see who they are. I am one of the lucky individuals that gets to be around my children all the time and see who they get to grow up and be. When asked if Lewis and Layla consider her a cool mom, she replied, no, not at all. Not unless I bring home some kind of treat. Last night I came home with donuts. I was so incredibly cool at that moment. Despite all the positives, the star also shares her fears. As a white parent who loves her children more than life itself, I'm scared of everything. I know I'm laying all kinds of existential anxiety on them. I have to think about what they're going to experience leaving the home. They're going to have my fear, but how can I make sure that my anxiety is accurate? Protective. Sandra tries to be a progressive mother and listens to her children's needs. I let them teach me and tell me what they need to know. I thought I was educated and woke, but guess what? I wasn't. In another Netflix project, Nora Fingscheid's drama, The Unforgivable, Bullock played a woman who was released from prison after serving a sentence for a violent crime. At the time of its release, The Unforgivable became the 5th most streamed film on the platform.
Skip school a lot? We all do things we probably shouldn't, but we get back on track, right? Yeah.
Before moving on to the last chapter, we would be grateful if you would subscribe to our channel and press the bell button to receive notifications of new videos. We always have something interesting to show you. In 2022, Sandra played the role of successful but depressed best-selling novelist Loretta Sage in the romantic comedy adventure film The Lost City. Her co-stars were Channing Tatum, who portrayed Loretta's book cover model, and Daniel Radcliffe as the main antagonist. By the way, Bullock always said that if she were not an actress, she would like to become a novelist, so even in this form, her dream came true to some extent. Filming took place in the Dominican Republic. To make the existence of the Lost City more convincing, the builders dug tunnels and laid ruins, which took a lot of time. Ryan Reynolds, who was already in a duet with Bullock in the comedy The Proposal, was initially thought to play the main male role, but an agreement could not be reached. However, another actor from the same film, Oscar Nunez, appeared in The Lost City, again in a minor role. The book tour the main character went on was called Romancing the Page, a reference to the 1984 action-adventure Romancing the Stone. In fact, this film became a kind of movie remake. At one point, the project's working title was The Lost City of D, but the letter D was later removed, leaving it only in the book title, written by Loretta. The ridiculous pink suit with sequins became a kind of comedic moment in the film because it showed the main character in the jungle from afar, making it impossible for her to hide and escape from her pursuers. Furthermore, the actress spent many hours on heels, which became an exhausting experience for her, but brought her highlight to the movie. Most of all, many liked the scene with Loretta's rescue from the kidnappers by Brad Pitt and Channing Tatum, which, it turns out, was shot from the first take.
There's one scene in this film that was done only in one take. There's a wheelbarrow.
That man was already unconscious.
Excuse me, would it be possible to remove me from the chair?
No time. We should definitely go.
Channing and Brad, I gotta give them all the props. All I ask is that you don't drop me, flip me, run over me. I just didn't want to die.
By the way, Pitt was not in the initial list of actors, and he did not want to participate in the film. However, Brad was persuaded by his common hairdresser with Bullock. In gratitude for his cameo, the star in turn also appeared in the actor's film Bullet Train, voicing one of the characters, Maria Beadle, the handler of Brad Pitt's Ladybug. As for The Lost City, the film was well received by critics, who praised the chemistry between Bullock and Tatum, despite their rather large age difference. By the way, if you want a video about this handsome actor, write in the comments and we will promise that we'll take your wishes into account. The Lost City grossed $190.8 million worldwide, making Sandra the first actress to have $100 million earners in live-action star vehicles over 4 different decades, according to Forbes. That same year, after a promotional tour for the latest film, Bullock took a short break to spend more time with her beautiful babies. But she also noted that she will eventually return. "I'm not retiring, just going to not spend time in front of the camera for a while," she said in an interview with People magazine. "I have beautiful babies. I'd rather look at them every day and have them be mad at me and annoyed and make memories with them for right now. I never said I'm retiring. If I decide to retire, then I'll make that announcement. A very important announcement that no one will care about." And while fans of the actress were waiting to see her again on the big screens, shocking news appeared. In the summer of 2023, Sandra's partner died at the age of 57 from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It turned out that Brian Randall had been battling the disease for 3 years. Sandra has had a difficult ordeal, and we sincerely sympathize with her. We believe that she will find the strength to live on, for the sake of the beloved, their wonderful children, and herself, because she's an example of how self-belief can make any dream come true. Sandra Bullock's kindness melts the coldest hearts. Her humor and directness attract people at first glance. Her motherly love cannot help but fascinate, and every film with her participation becomes unforgettable and replenishes the lists of the best in their genres. You can treat Sandra as you like, but her masterful performance and the disparate characters she embodies on screen really speak to the undoubted acting talent of this incredible woman. We would like to remind you that there are many more exciting stories about actors in the film industry on our channel. You can find little-known facts from their lives, interesting incidents in the film sets, and much more by clicking on the video that appeared on the screen. We would also be grateful for liking this video. See you soon!